Let's take a quick look at how to apply textures to a NURBS surface. Now, texturing a NURBS surface is fairly straightforward. What Maya does is it maps the rectangular image, such as a bitmap, from the X and Y coordinates of the bitmap to the U and V coordinates of the rectangular patch. So here I have a simple NURBS patch, and let's go ahead and just create a material and apply a texture. So I'm just going to go into my rendering tab and select a Lambert material and go over to that Lambert tab, and in color I'm going to select an image. So I'm going to go into File, and then the image itself, let's just use art01.jpg. And when we do, it brings this up and it maps it one-to-one from X and Y of the image to the patch itself. Now, if we want to modify this, we can go into the Place 2D Texture node. Now, we've looked at this before, but this is really important for NURBS-based patches because this is really the command central for how you map to NURBS. Now, we have a number of attributes here. We can rotate that frame. We can change the coverage. So if I do 0.5, you can see how it only covers half of that. And if we do it again, 0.5, you can see how most of this NURBS patch has no texture on it because the texture has been shrunk down to the bottom corner. Now, if we bring that back to 1, it fully fills that canvas. And let's bring it up above that. So if we bring it up to 2, what we're doing is we're oversizing the image and basically overshooting this NURBS surface. Now we also can do repeats. So if I repeat, say, 2 on each one, I will get multiple images. Now this is great for tiling if you have a tiled surface that you want to have repeat. And again, we can also rotate this. Now, the really cool thing about this is that we do have interactive placement. So when I select this, notice how all of this turns red. Now, the key for this is that we're using middle click. So if I middle click in the center of one of these, I'm going to scale this up or down. And notice how the coverage changes. So I can change coverage by going this way or this way. I can change the overall position by clicking in the middle. If I click at the corners, I can rotate this. So this is just another way to manipulate textures on a surface. Now let's go ahead and do something a little bit more practical. So I'm going to select this and delete it. And then if you notice in the channel box right underneath it, we have layer 1. And there's our little Swedish fireplace there. And what we want to do here is place a screen on this fireplace. Now the screen itself is going to be transparency. So what we need to do is map an image for the transparency of this, and that will create holes in the screen and make it look like a screen. So let's go into our rendering shelf, and I'm going to create a Lambert material. And then in the transparency field, I'm going to go ahead and click over here on the little checker, and we're going to add in a file. And then go over to that file tab, and under image name, I'm going to find .screen.jpg, which is really just a simple .screen image. Now when I open that up, look what happens. We get that transparency that we're looking for, but as you can see, this isn't mapping exactly the way we want. This is really stretched. So let's go into our Place 2D Texture node. Now we don't want to deal so much with coverage because we do want this to cover the entire NURBS surface. What we're going to work with is repeat. So we have repeat over U and V. Now, I don't know how this surface was built in terms of U and V, so I don't know which direction is U and V on this surface. So I'm just going to start typing in numbers. So I'm going to type in 2 for repeat U. And as you can see, it gets really skinny on the top to bottom. So U is vertical on this particular surface, which means V is left to right. And what I want to do is get more repetition because these are supposed to be circles, but they're stretched ellipses. So let's go ahead and put in 2. And when we put in 2, it gets better, as you can see. But let's go a little bit further. Let's go to 3. And that's starting to look about right. So let's go ahead and leave that at 3. And so this gives me the nice dot screen that we're wanting. And you can also start to see the transparency. Now, if I go up to my main material here, we can now change the color of this. This light gray here is this color. And so let's bring it down to kind of a dark gray, which is really the color that this should be. And when we do, we get the effect that we want. And this really does look like a fireplace screen. And so now we have the effect that we want just by using transparency. So those are some simple ways to map images to NURBS surfaces.